I am Ray, and negative thoughts may be a sign of a death demon. You see, Carl Jung once talked about death demons, but not much in depth. But from my understanding, what a death demon is, you could say it's a fatal flaw in one's system, like a check engine light. Something's gone amok, wrong, horribly, needs to be addressed, and if it's not addressed, death. Sometimes negative thoughts can be a reflection of this. Now, negative thoughts come from trauma, and they are a symptom of an underlying dis-ease. If that trauma is bad enough where it's created a fundamental error in our psyche, it cannot be ignored. If you have some negative thoughts here and there, it probably isn't that big of a deal. But if they're ruining your life, you're not running away from this one, my friend. It has to be addressed. It doesn't matter how far you go to run away, you'll never outrun your thoughts. Think about our psyche like a sphere. When we're young, it's small. It's small because we don't have all that much conditioning. But then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we get older. And what happens? When we experience trauma, if the trauma is bad enough, the imperfections get magnified as we get older. A healthy psyche is balanced, it's whole, it's symmetrical. But a psyche that has trauma can look something like that. It's a little bit broken, it's a little bit not all there. And that's going to cause major problems in your life. And you know that this is true. If you're always struggling miserably with problems in the world, if you can never just catch a break, if life is just on top of you all the time, and you're living in hell, it means imbalanced. Some kind of trauma causes us to be attached to certain kinds of energy. Oftentimes, we're attached to masculine energy or feminine energy. One of them is our dominant energy. And as I like to say, we're all instruments of God, and our life is the song. And whether or not our life or our song is in harmony is determined by whether or not we are in tune. So ask yourself, are your strings too loose or are they too tight? Too tight is yang energy, too loose is yin. Chaos and order, feminine, masculine. When these two forces are balanced within us, our life is great. There is harmony. But what is the absence of harmony? Problems. So the more problems we experience, the more our psyche is imbalanced. And if our psyche is imbalanced enough, that is a death demon. An unsustainable problem. Whereas, well, a lot of people can get away with being, kind of messed up, but not messed up enough to really change all that much. The more psychologically imbalanced you are, the more you will experience negative thoughts. The more your thoughts are going to ruin your life. And until you return to psychic wholeness, they won't stop, because they're essentially telling you, hey, pay attention, whatever information is in your thoughts, because there's going to be some kind of repeated pattern that your mind just hyper-focuses on. That is the pathway forward, meaning your negative thoughts are sending you a message. You have to be able to decipher the message and not be so afraid of the thoughts, because essentially it's like a red alarm bell going off. It's almost like your body's survival mechanism telling you, hey, pay attention. And in the contents of your negative thoughts reveals where you are psychologically imbalanced, where you are traumatized. So first we discover the nature of the thoughts. What are the themes that repeat themselves over and over again? And you can also look out at your life. What are the themes that replay themselves over and over again? What are the problems that you continuously experience that are ruining your life? Your addictions, your tendencies, your habits. All gold mines of information leading you back to balance. But because we fight with the darkness and wrestle with it and get scared, we allow the fear in, we do nothing but go all the way down, downward spiral. That just ruins our life. We wallow in suffering. When in truth, you can change your mindset to see that all of these dark and negative things are actually here to help us. But if you don't have a mindset of growth, they will simply destroy you. I encourage you to embark on a journey of self-discovery. And this will prevent you from getting your life ruined, from accidentally dying. Oh no. Because once you embark on this journey to discover and reflect upon yourself with intention, you're basically telling life, hey life, I want to figure this out. I don't want to die. I don't want to continue living this way. Can you help me, please? I'm putting forth some effort. And life steps in and says, okay, yes, I was trying to help you the whole time, but now you were just being crazy. You were just pouring gasoline on yourself and lighting yourself on fire. Why were you doing that? Now you're telling life, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore. That was close. Almost lit the match. And you start getting guided back to your true self. I like to reminisce on the story of the Knights of the Round Table, who went into the dark forest in search of the Holy Grail. And each man went into the forest at the place in which it seemed darkest to them. So too we are entering into the dark forest of our own mind in search of what we truly desire. All that we desire, whatever that means to you. What you will find is the truth, and the truth will set you free. But you have to have the courage to face your darkness, to not be afraid of it, but to realize that, well, the darkness and the light are equally important to the truth and to wholeness. That is why Carl Jung said, I would rather be whole than good. How many good people, so-called, have a dark side that they don't face, which ends up ruining their life? So don't run away from the darkness. It's not your enemy. If you make the darkness your enemy, it will be. I promise you that. But if you make the darkness your ally, it will be. And I don't mean like, calling up the demons, hey demons, I need some of your witchcraft powers. Come on, help a brother out. What I'm saying is reframe in your mind that the problems you experience, that your struggles, they are exactly designed for you on this journey. The obstacle is the way. And through your experience wrestling with these problems, going through them, you will develop into the greatest version of yourself. You will discover which parts of you have been traumatized, what parts of you are imbalanced, and are creating the problems in your life. And guess what? Once you heal that, the problems go away, and you start living your best life. And that is the Holy Grail. This is kind of the whole point of life, because what happens? We are all connected to Source God, and that is within you. Imagine like a little umbilical cord connected to God, and the gateway or the portal between the inner world and the outer world is your mind. Now the mind is like a valve to a hose. This hose right here. It either constricts or expands the flow of life, the source of life within you. So, the more mind stuff you got going on, meaning the more attachments, the more trauma, the more constricted your life energy will be. And when you are separated from life, you grow closer to death. Like when the lights to a room are turned off, darkness is what remains. And with death comes suffering, comes hell, comes problems, comes shame, guilt, depression, and death. Eventually. It's the only reason people die. They get consumed by death. Because where life is, death is not. Just like where the light is, the darkness is not. So, if you're experiencing misery and hell, all that has happened, and all you got to do moving forward, is that you've been separated from life. You got to reconnect. Why have you been separated from life? It is because of your mind attachments. The imbalance. Think about all of your mind stuff, like little pieces of dirt, or rocks, and things like that, clouding out the light within you. The mind or the ego is like a dark cloud that covers up the light and the warmth of the sun, your inner sun. And the bigger and the darker that cloud is, the more we feel separated, drowning in a cloud of negativity. All that is required, become free from those attachments. You open up the floodgates once again. Reconnect to life, joy, peace, love, abundance, everything that you desire. But you have to look. That's why we embark on a journey of self-discovery. We see, okay, what are the aspects of me that are clouding up the good enough, the good enough, the good enough, the good stuff enough. And you can see what a death demon really is. It's some aspect of you, like a complex, like a psychological pattern that has gained so much power, it's continuously constricting your life energy, which eventually leads you to death. And this happens to people all the time. The suicide rate in the world is not zero, let alone the so-called accidents that people get in. Meaning that if your life energy is constricted for a long time, it will influence you to act in ways that reinforce death. It's one of the reasons that sometimes just bad accidents happen. Not anybody's fault, but you cannot be aligned with life and harmony and just randomly die. It's not possible. Again, where life is, death is not. Doesn't mean you're going to live forever, because we live in these temporary bodies. They can only hold life for so long. But this is a very mathematical game that we're playing. If you look out onto your life and things aren't going the way you want, it is because there is an input that is resulting in a certain output. 1 + 1 = 2, not 3. It doesn't matter if you think you're doing everything right on paper. Life will tell you when you're doing things right. You see, what happens is that throughout our life, as we develop that ego, the mind, as our brains literally get stronger as we age, our sense of self-identity gets stronger. The mind creates the sense of self. I am me and you are you. And the stronger you're attached to your mind, the stronger sense of separation you experience. I am really me and you are really you. And you see this all the time with people. I can look at somebody for 5 seconds and determine at which level of ego are they. Because you can see the constriction of the life. Think about the difference between children and adults. Children most often are free unless they've already been traumatized. So when you look into somebody's eyes and you talk to them, you can see how attached they are to things, because it's constricting that charismatic flow of life. And so we put ourselves in this little prison called ego, and it's made up of beliefs and thoughts and stories about ourselves and about the world, and it's just, an illusion, but we believe it into existence by believing that these stories are the truth. But most often it's just conditioning and trauma speaking. And then what happens is that all the things that don't align with our ego identity, it gets cast into the shadow, into the darkness, outside of our conscious awareness. And all of these fragmented personality traits, if there has been significant amounts of trauma, will form into this Frankenstein beast that I call the monster mind. And the monster mind will come back later in life to haunt us, often in the form of negative thoughts. So, the worse the monster mind is, the more urgent is the situation. Meaning, do you feel like you're getting attacked every single day of your life? Or do you feel like, it's kind of here and there, not that big of a deal? But the secret is, the monster mind is only a big scary demon on the surface. It's like the boogeyman. Because we don't look at it, because we're afraid of it, because we fight our negative thoughts, we feed them and make them worse. But the moment you look at them, the moment you look in the closet and underneath your bed, where's the boogeyman? It doesn't exist. It's not real. We believed it into existence. The fear was real, but only because we believed. When in truth, the monster mind is a messenger that tells you, hey look, you've repressed all of this garbage, all the so-called unworthy and ugly parts of you that you've disowned. They will come back to take their revenge on you. Because how would you feel if you were cast into eternal darkness because you were ugly and unlovable? So that is what has happened. But remember, the message of the thoughts, they're paving the way to wholeness. But if you don't have the courage to look, you'll keep running away and they will kill you. Because your negative thoughts are saying, unsustainable, check engine, your car's gonna die, no oil. But once you begin the journey, you can kind of take a breath of fresh air. Because there's only really a big problem if you're not focused on healing, if you're not focused on wholeness and growth and fixing the problem. You're really only in danger if you kind of just don't pay attention and ignore it. So through our reflection of the patterns that we continuously repeat, whether from our thoughts or the problems in life, we see, why am I getting myself into these problems? What are my negative thoughts trying to tell me about me? And when you begin to decipher the message, your unconscious will tell you straight up, be more like this kind of person. Your imbalance toward this energy, integrate the opposite energy. The moment we integrate the lost parts of ourselves, we return to psychic wholeness. The negative thoughts go away. Because the only reason the negative thoughts are there is because we're imbalanced. You cannot have problems where there is harmony. You cannot have toxicity in an environment that is healthy. You cannot have imbalance where there is balance. Once you return to balance, the problems, they go away because they were just a symptom. The negative thoughts, they go away. They were just a symptom. If you're bleeding, you patch up the cut, you stop bleeding. You gotta heal the wounds. And if you're ready to embark on this journey, I created a step-by-step system for you to take your life back from the monster mind. In only 90 days. The link is below. I am Ray. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.